I decided that we would do something a little different than normal on the channel. So I have with me here today a man you might know very well, Captain Connor of the 311.
Hello there.
Uh, and today we're just gonna kind of be hanging out, chatting, and just getting to know our boy a little better than we would normally. So Connor, I actually realized I don't know that much about you at all. Like, besides you being that sarcastic CEO in the 311th.
Yeah, sure. Um, a little bit about me. Actually, something not a lot of people know. I'm only 17. I created the unit in January of 19. Um, sorry, January of 20. I apologize. So almost 2 years ago. Which at that point, I had literally just turned 16, like that week. So I'm a lot younger than a lot of people. A lot of people know. I go to high school. I'm in my senior year. Um, I, uh, I take some math classes, STEM classes. That's something I really love to do in school. And when I graduate school next year, I will be headed off to the Army, actually, enlisting. Hobbies outside of Arma. Um, I'm involved with my school's rocketry club, and we're currently in the process of putting together a proposal for the NASA Student Launch Initiative, which will have us headed down to Alabama this spring if our proposal gets accepted. And I'm also involved with my school's cross country teams, and I play soccer in the spring.
Bro, change my mind. What has achieved more recruits for the U.S. Army, Arma 3 or their ridiculous advertisements?
Yeah, the Army's ad campaigns can. It's really interesting to kind of see the disconnect of just Army media and stuff. But I mean, hell, for me, it's all Arma, man. Like, jokes aside, I would not be doing what I am with my life if it weren't for this game. Which on one hand is kind of funny, because it's literally a video game. There's the classic joke of joining the military because you play COD or whatever, but like straight up, I'm joining the military because of video games, which I think is pretty funny.
Oh, I mean, I was gonna join the Marine Corps a while back when I was 18. I went to MEPS and everything, but I ended up getting denied from the Marine Corps due to an ankle injury I got in high school.
It's unfortunate, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, injuries are scary.
I uh, I was like, I could probably just reapply in like 2 years when they lax their restrictions for uh, entrance into the military because they do that shit all the time.
Hmm. What year was this?
Let's see, the year that I was trying to enlist, I think it was 2018, I believe.
Yep.
Uh, so like we weren't doing like any serious, combat operations or anything in the Middle East at the time.
Yeah, and especially now that United States pulled out of Afghanistan.
Yeah, so I just kind of meandered around for a while after that.
Gotcha. Cool, man. And you finally ended up back. You like you manage a security something or other?
Yeah, so my like current career path was definitely a weird twist because I got into security just off a whim. I did a whole bunch of different jobs. Like if you name some kind of job, I've probably done it in some capacity, and that was mainly due to the fact that I was doing a lot of not okay substances at the time. So I was kind of hopping from job to job. But yeah, I landed my job at the security station or like security company, I guess. And the first thing I did was loss prevention. So I would be the spooky boy on the camera, making sure you're not stealing shit.
That's interesting.
And
Loss prevention's weird, man.
yeah, I was terrible at it. Like god awful. I think I was there for 3 months and I caught one person stealing.
Wow.
Yeah, I was
Wow.
trash at it. But I met a dude there who introduced me to a whole new world of security. I call him Lieutenant Dan, and Lieutenant Dan, he he was part of our like bodyguarding division at the company, and he was like, I mean, you're kind of trash at this, but like you might be able to like carry a gun and look intimidating. So let's bring you over here for a little bit. So for a couple months, I did like asset protection, which was mostly people.
What kind of people?
Just like important people, like people that hired us to like watch them. I mean, it wasn't like anybody crazy, but it was just like the occasional rich guy that's like, I'm kind of going like over here, and like I want to look cool, so bodyguards. I never shot anybody during that time though, so it's all good. I never drew on a person, but I almost had to one time. That was pretty cool. Pretty terrible. That was pretty terrible. I'm pretty sure the dude just didn't know what was going on, and then like he saw me like approaching him, and like I had the like shoulder holster, so it's like under my armpit, and I like was like reaching into my jacket, and I was like, you need to back the fuck up, and he's like, oh shit, okay. So I'm pretty sure he just had no idea what was going on, but
Running around clueless.
oh yeah, like you'd be surprised how stupid the average person is, like how little they observe what's going on.
Yeah, don't I know it, man? I work in a restaurant and have for quite a few years, and you definitely get all manner of stupid people, both working there, and eating. It's just there's a lot of stories there.
Give us a good horror story from your restaurant days.
A good horror story.
Yeah.
Oh my, there's so many to choose from. Once I was going to the bathroom, like a responsible young lad, making sure I take care of business. I was going in there, checking, making sure that the paper towels were full, right? Being a good employee. And I just through the crack in the bathroom stall, I see the T-shirt that our back of house workers, our cooks wear, and I see that, and then I take another glance, and there's just a powdered substance on the on the back of a toilet bowl, on the ceramic cover of a toilet. There's a very distinct sniffing sound. That was quite funny. He didn't last very long. He was actually also he was like 22, and he got like a 44-year-old pregnant, and was going to get married to her, who she also worked there. And that whole thing was fucked. She actually tried to start a fight with like a 17-year-old coworker of mine. Like this 44-year-old woman tried to fight this 17-year-old because I don't even remember. She looked at her wrong or something. People are crazy, man. Restaurant jobs are crazy.
But my one question, did she have hands though?
No, not really. No, she was about as mobile as like that 60-year-old fat lady you see on a Walmart mobility scooter. She was, which was weird because she wasn't fat, but she's like the opposite of coordinated. It's kind of funny.
Oh yes.
The fight did not last very long, and I mean, if we're going by quantity of punches, I believe fists were thrown a couple times, but I mean, it was probably half a punch in total. So it was rather uninteresting, if we're being honest.
You know how to throw a punch, Connor? Like a really solid.
Do
punch?
I know how to throw a punch?
Yeah.
I'd love to say yes. I mean, I've trained on a bag, but I've actually only ever been in one fight. And I didn't even know we were fighting until I got hit in the face. So it didn't last very long. So my experience in that front's rather limited.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. You don't know you're fighting until somebody gets hit in the face.
Yeah, I was just joking around with a buddy in like 6th grade on the playground, and all of a sudden he just popped me in the nose. I was like, damn, that wasn't cool. I actually didn't even throw a punch back. I was literally on the floor like a sack of potatoes immediately. And my friends were all dragging me out to the one like teacher that doesn't really like have a job, but she just kind of like watches everybody at recess. That fucking weird old lady.
Yeah.
And she was like, "What happened?" And like tears streaming down my face, like snot everywhere. I'm crying. Like I'm like I can't get a full breath out, but eventually I just kind of go nothing, and she was just like, all right, go to the nurse, and I was like, that worked. That like you're just yeah, I don't know what that lady was on, but it was very obvious that I'd been in a physical altercation, and she was just like, grab a buddy and head down to the nurse there, kid. So yeah, that was Connor's first and last fight as of now.
Your school operates off the buddy system.
Oh yeah, man! Back in elementary school, you wanted to go anywhere, you needed a buddy. They wouldn't. You could get lost in those halls. They're like 30 feet long, maze. You don't know what's going on.
Children die without their battle buddies.
Yeah. Yeah. One time, actually, the school went into full lockdown because they thought a kid ran away from his classroom, right? So everybody's freaking out, and I'm just walking around in the hallways with my battle buddy, being a good. I don't know what I was doing, but I was going somewhere for some reason. I just see one of those paraeducators, just like the ones that help out the special education kids, just like screaming around the corner at top speed, going at least Mach 2. You can see her shoes burning. She's like freaking out. She's like, have you? It's like, Jesus Christ, what's going on? And she finally gets out. Have you seen Lucas? And I'm like, no. I'm looking at my battle buddy. Battle buddy hasn't seen shit. So we're just like, do you want help? Because I mean, we're looking for any way to get out of class, right? So we walk around the school for like 10 minutes, just kind of meandering, having a good time, skipping out on like, I don't know, like a lesson on giraffes or something. And for the story, actually pretty funny. Kid was literally in his classroom the entire time. The teacher lost him inside of the classroom. Dude was just sitting up front reading a book, completely unaware of his surroundings, and the teacher put the whole damn school into lockdown because she didn't even check her whole classroom for the kid. So, yeah. My elementary school is kind of whack, man. That was a trip.
Man, that reminds me, just ridiculous school stories. I came from like a pretty small town,
Yep.
like growing up, and I finally moved to like, well, what could be equated to the big city compared to like what I was used to, because my old school that I went to had like 60 kids in the entire school.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and I moved up to the big city with all the big city slicker kids, and the first day, like, I go to the middle school to like sign up for classes and shit, like get registered. And the first thing that happens when I enter the hallway with my mom is I see this kid running down the hallway being chased by like 3 teachers and gets tackled to the ground. I just like look at my mom and I don't want to go here anymore.
Yeah, I never actually changed schools, so I never got that experience, being the new kid. Actually, I really never got the new school experience at all, because I don't know if your school did this, but my school had this program where like if you're good at math, they just kind of like send you to the big school and make you learn that. Like, so, like, little 6th grade me, which was still in our elementary, because my school district was kind of fucking weird. But they just was like, yeah, go to the middle school and get your education. So I'd always, like, seen the school before, I went there. So, yeah, I never really got that new kid experience. And unfortunately, never got to walk into a school with somebody being, like, crash tackled in the hallway. That sounds pretty badass.
That was pretty awful. That school sucked. But it was funny because the year I went there was because I was in 8th grade. So, just going into high school next year. That school, the year I went there was the last year that it was open before they tore it down. Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, my high school right now is actually getting. I don't think it's getting torn down, but it's in the last like couple years of it being a school, which is probably pretty good. It's genuinely got asbestos in it in the walls. And the school was built in like the 60s. Our cafeteria actually doubles as a bona fide bomb shelter, which is pretty baller.
Yo.
Yeah, like it's genuinely just also a bomb shelter in the basement. It's hot as hell. There's no AC in the building. And for those of you that don't live in like the Midwest, like in Iowa, it's really cool because we get like all of the temperatures. Like in the summer, it'll be hitting 90s and humid. And in the winter, it'll be like -40 without wind chill. And you know, it's always humid in the summers because a fun fact about corn, if you didn't know, like an acre of corn gives off like hundreds or thousands of gallons of water a day. So it's all super humid when it rolls around for school time. Um, but yeah, man, I love it. Only like half the rooms have windows, and if you're lucky and it gets real hot, the downstairs, because there's one wing in the whole school that has air conditioning, the math wing, and the floors will actually get wet from the condensation because it's
Yep.
so hot.
Yep, I know
It's
that.
it's great. You can just slip and slide down the hallways.
Yeah, I know that all too well. I,
Yeah, man.
I live in
There's-
Minnesota, so like the Midwest
Yeah.
experience is like my entire life.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. People don't realize it gets so goddamn hot even up here.
Yeah, it's like the 3 months of summer that we get before it starts snowing again is like, yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, it's gonna be like 102 degrees with 99% humidity. Like, cool, thanks.
Right, dude. Right. Ah, man. Weather. Weather's a trip. I love the snow though. Do you you like living in the snow?
No, not particularly.
No.
I like when I was growing up, like I spent most of my summers like down in Texas, and like I really love that Texas weather. Like it's always like really hot, but it's like a nice hot because it's not humid as fuck. So, you know, it's like
Yeah, I
it's a
gotcha.
good heat. It's a dry heat. It's a good heat.
Yeah, I love the snow. Man. I love the snow. I've always loved snow days. You know, getting off of school, coming home early. That was a thing. That's the thing our school did all the time. They'd be like, "Yeah, we got like a 20 to 23% chance of snow at like 4 p.m." I mean, that might cause kids problems going home, so we're just gonna leave at noon, which was always great. You leave at noon, you go home. Like mom's bringing home Mickey Don Dons, and you're just having a great time. And then the snow rolls around, you go outside, play with your friends. It's dope. And then you've got the fun snow experiences as you're getting a little older. You drive for the first time, and then the Midwestern parents are like, "Snowstorm, more like learning experience.
Right.
Go get my keys. We're going driving." And I'm like, "Mom, not only is it 9:30 at night, it's dark. It's also there's like 4 feet of snow on the highway.
It's whiteout
Like,
conditions.
are you sure this is responsible?" She's like, "Just we're going to Taco Bell. Go." I was like, "Wait, is this what this is really about?" Okay. But yeah, man, driving in the snow for the first time, that's a trip. And then just come on, you gotta love the snow for driving. But you never go to a parking lot with your hood friends at like 3 in the morning and just do donuts on the snow.
No, because every car I've ever had, except for the one I currently have, was a total piece of shit. So,
Ah,
yeah.
unfortunate.
The first car I had was a Pontiac Sunfire from 2002, and it was, needless to say, very hazardous for anyone to be driving it, let alone a 16-year-old kid who has no idea how to drive yet.
God, yeah, I love the United States. Just like, oh, you turned 14? Here's a car, dude. Go get it. Because at least in Iowa, you can start solo driving to school at like 14.
That's probably because of like farming, isn't it?
Yeah, dude, that's the crazy thing about so many Midwestern states is that we just have the most batshit insane, like not safe at all laws, and the reasoning is just oh, but the farmers,
Yeah, but
like
them farm boys, they need to get to school too.
like there's like 12 farmers in Iowa. I don't know if y'all been keeping up with this, but farming it's not mom pop and like the 17 children anymore. Like it's like two dudes on John Deere super tractors with like 6,000 acres of corn and soybeans. Like I don't know how many laws we should be basing off the farmers anymore, man.
But the farmers, though.
Ah, fuck the farmers, man. You know why fuck the farmers, man? They grow corn. You know how bad corn is, dude? Hate corn. You ever eat corn and like it, Mace?
Yeah, all the time. I love corn, dude.
Okay, well, you're kind of a subset of the population that's wrong, but let me tell you why I hate corn so much. All right, number one, it's garbage. It's bad food. All right, I don't want to eat corn. It sucks. Number two, it's government subsidies. All right, the government is just like giving farmers money for growing a shit crop. Right, and here's why it's shit. All right, ethanol. All right, putting corn juice in my goddamn gasoline, not cool. All right, number two, high fructose corn syrup. Right, dude, America's like 35% obese. We just like the government still like corn syrup. Like, give these corn farmers money, right? Corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup is like the worst thing ever invented for people. Like, you could inject like I don't know, Nutella like for 3 hours a day directly into your vena cava, and it'd be better for you than having some high fructose corn syrup. And the last reason why I hate corn is it's terrible for the soil. Growing corn and beans so often. And do you have any idea how hard it is to convince a farmer who's been farming the same land his dad and his granddaddy and his granddaddy has been farming for 200 years that just growing corn and soybeans over and over is not good for the land? They just keep doing it, and the government keeps giving them goddamn money, and I end up with so much goddamn corn syrup in all my food. And all these people selling sweet corn on the road, I don't know how they make money, because only like psychopaths actually like corn. I don't get it, man. I hate corn.
Well, do you know why the high fructose corn syrup is a thing?
Uh, Honestly, not really.
Yeah, so that's actually pretty like interesting like tidbit, but basically it involves the sugar industry being like very shady. Like I'm not talking like just regular villain shady. I mean like standing next to a railroad track, chick tied to it with a load of dynamite standing behind you while you're twiddling your mustache shady. Like
All right, go on.
yeah, so I can't remember what year it was, but back in the day like everything had fat in it, right? And fat is flavor. It makes things taste good. And the sugar industry was tanking in profits because, you know, you'd only put sugar in like bakery goods and shit, you know. You wouldn't just eat sugar in like your everyday stuff.
Yeah.
So the sugar industry started a misinformation campaign saying that like fat made you fat. Like if you eat fat, you're going to get fat. And that's why people, like more and more people are gaining like more and more weight and becoming fat. And they like hired a bunch of doctors to like, yeah, you see, like these guys who ate this fat, they're like really, really fat. That's bad. So you should eat more sugar instead, because sugar doesn't make you as fat. And
I'm convinced.
yeah, the people were like, hey, you know what this doctor guy said, so it must be true. So let's stop eating fat. And then we started banning like trans fats and like fats in food, which is why you see everything is fat-free, but if you look at the label, it's like, oh, but it's also got like 3,000 milligrams of sugar in it.
God, yeah, I just hate the food industry, man. Look, I try to eat healthily. Like I've actually been losing weight recently, and I mean, to be fair, my losing weight technique has just been like eat less. Like I'm not exactly following a diet or anything. But like I look at nutrient facts more often, right? Because I'm doing some calorie counting, and it's just it's ridiculous, man. Like and even just the things that the serving size on a box of raisins is like, 7 servings, each serving 3 raisins. Like this, that who allows that? Like I don't know, man. The food industry, is just so full of like bad actors and people trying to do bad just to make profit. It's kind of crazy, man.
It's pretty. It's the sugar industry. It like destroyed the food because you can't put fat in foods anymore, which makes it taste good. So you need to put a shit ton of sugar in it to replace the flavor because there's no flavor in it anymore. So you got to make it sweet. So my little Debbie Hostess cakes wouldn't be so bad for me if I could have some fat in there.
Oh, I mean, honestly, it's not hard to understand why that misinformation campaign was so successful, because fat people are not called sugar people, like like the average American consumer hearing from a doctor, fat makes you fat. I mean, that's like saying 2 plus 2 is 4. Ah, yeah, man, the food industry. Honestly, bottom 3 industries in my opinion. Not a big fan.
What are the other two?
The other 2 industries I'm not a big fan of:
Yeah,
the corn industry, farming. Uh, Definitely, I think I explained myself on that one already.
a little bit.
But just anything involving corn, really not cool. And then, obviously, I think it's obvious the pharmaceutical companies, like, I'm all for profit and businesses and making money, but it's kind of absurd how much some life-saving medicine costs for no reason, for literally no reason. And the easiest one to point at is uh, insulin for diabetics, because it costs like 3.5 nickels to produce, and then they sell it for like $300. Um, but yeah, man, it's just medicine's crazy, dude. And the stuff with just the way medicine and insurance interacts, that like if you're poor and don't have insurance and you go to a hospital because like a horse fell on you or something, I think it's a pretty common injury.
I'd say so in the Midwest at least. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, your horse falls on you, and you go in, and they just need to like shoot some science at your leg to see what's going on. Look, I'm not a doctor. I don't know how it works, but they'll charge you like $50,000, and then the insurance companies will be like, "Oh yeah, we got you. Just pay like 12." But then if you don't have insurance, then you're just like stuck paying the 50 grand magic bill that the hospitals make up so that they get more money from insurance companies.
Yep.
It's goofing, man. Just I am personally, politically, I am anti allowing to give politicians money. Like that's my political party. Is just you're not allowed to just stop people from giving anybody with political power money.
Oh, you can't.
That's just crazy.
You're against lobbyists.
Yeah, lobbying. I don't think it's ever really a force for good.
I don't think so either. I'm pretty much in that same boat. I can see why it's a thing though, but I mean, like that it's always like Shady Jeff, and it's never like Greenpeace Mary, like giving out these $1,000 donations to these politicians to like save the whales or whatever.
Yeah, it probably totally is. There's probably definitely a large number of really great lobbyists, who are trying to get politicians in power, who will like, I don't know, give people rights or whatever, important stuff. But
Who needs rights?
I don't know, man. The system just gets abused so much. Yeah, politics. I love politics as a conversation point, because really nobody knows what they're talking about in the grand sense of things, but everybody's got an opinion.
Oh yeah.
So it's always a fun one.
Have you ever played Fallout New Vegas?
I've not, man. I actually, fun fact about me, I hate single player games.
Really?
Hate Fallout, hate Skyrim. Yeah, I don't like any of them.
Well, there's a character in one of the DLCs of Fallout New Vegas. he's got multiple personalities. He's got two different personalities, right? And one of them is dog, and the other is God. So yeah, so when dog is like, you know, he's kind of slow, a little sluggish, he doesn't speak very well, and then God is like a super intelligent, like mega villain, right? So I saw like a meme of that, and it's like when I talk about politics, and it's just like the like super mutant standing there, and it says dog underneath it, and then it's like whenever I talk about like video games or something, and it just says God there.
Yeah. It's just I love talking about politics with people because personally, like I don't really mind when people don't think the same way that I do. I like hearing why people think things. And yeah, but it's really funny on how often people talk about things they don't understand at all. I mean, which goes the same for me. Like there's a few things in life that I'm really knowledgeable about. You know, I'm comfortable talking about. But there's pretty much everything else is just like me talking out of my ass and just having an opinion on things. Which I don't know, man. I love that as people we've advanced to a point in society that like everybody knows 0.0001% of like the knowledge, and we're all just floating around not knowing shit about anything.
Yeah, we're living in an age where I can pretty much pull up any historical text in history and learn anything in the world, and I don't use it for anything. I just like get on. I'm like, how many hamsters can fit in a soda can?
Yeah, man, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about it because I was born like a couple years after 9/11 to age me. And so I was born like with YouTube, right?
Yeah.
It's I cannot like understand a time before I could just whack my fingers onto a thing a couple times and know anything. It's so foreign to me. Like libraries, I'm scared of them, dude. Like terrifying. Who wants to go to a library? It's useless. But God, yeah, it's something I think about a lot actually is if I was just like thrown back 2,000 years in history and I just landed somewhere, like what could I do to actually prove that I'm from the future?
I mean, if you keep a GAT on you, that's probably a good starting point.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's not like they could recreate a gun.
Well,
like
I mean,
maybe we could. I could like I think I roughly know how to make gunpowder, but the problem is, what the hell is a saltpeter, and where do I get it? I know I need 80% of it, but where is that at? How do I make charcoal? No clue there. They probably do. I don't know how to make charcoal.
You just burn wood, basically.
Yeah. There's like you need to do it a certain way. I actually have a busy friend who likes to make explosives legally, and he's telling me about this is how I vaguely understand how to make gunpowder. But he told me he had to make charcoal like 12 different times to get it right. But yeah, man, like what could I reasonably do if I just get dropped there with like I don't know. Because if I'm wearing modern textiles, I mean, sure, that'd be obvious. But, like, if I was brought before a king and he's like, prove to me you're from the future or I'm gonna cut off your limbs. Like, what? I don't know what I'd be able to do. I'd be like, because all the historical facts I know is like, oh, yeah, in the year 200, this happened. But, like, what are the odds I even get dropped anywhere near that time? People really know so little about history.
I mean, let's just say, like, for the sake of argument, like you're in medieval times, you're in like the 1300s, like like medieval Europe, right? And for the sake of argument, you also for some reason know how to speak their language because even
that's a good point.
Like even if you know English, nobody is speaking anywhere close to what we know as English today at that time period. They're speaking like Anglo-Saxon, which is like a really fucked up version of English.
Yeah, man. If I did get dropped back there, I don't know, because I know so much shit. but it's it's like it's all like high level knowledge, you know?
I mean,
Like it's all knowledge that needs other knowledge.
yeah, you know things, but you can't put a coherent thought together. So, like, I could explain to them like what electricity was, right? And they would be able to understand like what electricity is if you explained it. You know, they're not backward savages; they have an idea of what technology is. You know, but then they would ask you the question, "Well, how do I make this electricity?" And you'd just be like, "I don't fucking know."
Well, there was this one really wacky dude with a kite. We could try that.
Yeah, like, I mean, you know, if I pulled out a gun, right, like in medieval times, they would understand what the gun is. You know, they wouldn't be like, that's some sort of wizardry. You know, like we don't give medieval people enough credit. We think they're, you know, a bunch of witch-hating, you know, lunatics, and they were, but they understand like how things work.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I think they, like, started making cannons, like, near the end of medieval times, so...
I think it was, like, the 1500s in Europe, I think.
So, yeah, they'd have a vague idea, you know, they wouldn't know, like, how the whole system works, but, you know, if I just started blasting, like, in the air, they'd be like, he's making, like, fire with that stick.
Yeah, it's actually funny you mention it, because, like, the first European, like, gunpowder weapons were literally just, like, fire sticks. I think that might have even been, like, a rough translation to them. They just stuck a bunch of gunpowder and some shit in essentially, like, a pipe, and just kind of pointed it at the bad guys, and it was like, ha! And it was, like, one-time use.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you think about historical firearms, like, they were awful. I mean, if I just take like a musket, like a Kentucky rifle, for example. You know, I live in like, you know, 1832, and, you know, my job is a hunter, and the only thing I have to hunt with is a bow and a Kentucky rifle. Like, I'm taking the bow because I know at least I can hit an accurate shot with a bow, but that Kentucky, like, that can ping off like a rock and hit somebody's dog. Like, you know.
Yeah, dude, that's one of my favorite parts of because the biggest part of history I'm interested in is military history, and there's just like the advancement from like the 1600s to the 1800s with guns, probably 1500s to like 1700s with guns. It's just like so minimal. Like there's changes here and there, but there's nothing revolutionary. Like nobody built like an automatic musket. Like muskets were still shitty muskets for like hundreds of years.
Yeah, they didn't figure out rifling for a super long time. Like all of it was smoothbore. Like,
well, yeah. The problem with that though is that they couldn't measure it or machine it. Like that's when innovation happened. Is when they figured out how to measure shit to small degrees. Do you know back in the Civil War, they had these cannons that were hexagonal. So they had a hexagon shaped like missile, cannonball, whatever. That they just had like a cannonball or a hexagon shaped rifling through the barrel that twisted it. And that was like one of the first, like that was like the major innovation, is because they learned how to machine and measure down to that precision. And that cannon was like ridiculously accurate. They were really expensive to produce, not widely used, but like, they built hexagon guns.
We can hit within, 20 meters of them instead of 100.
Bro, cannon tactics back in those days is terrifying. Napoleonic era, you're just rolling with your boys. Like, you got Jim out in front of you and Steve behind you. You're just walking around in your Napoleonic infantry formation. And all of a sudden, a cannon regiment, like 400 meters away, sets off, and there's like 17 cannonballs screaming towards you, bouncing off the ground, literally bowling through your formation. That's stuff of nightmares, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I just imagine that's worse than getting, like, shot nowadays, because, like, your legs are destroyed now. Like, you're done. And this is the time when medicine was basically just like, I don't fucking know, I'm gonna bleed him for a while.
Dude, I love ancient medicine so much, man. In the Civil War, they're like, "Oh shit, what do we do? Fuck.
Cut his leg off.
Cut his appendages off. Cut his legs off." But sir, he was shot in the arm.
Yeah, cut his legs off. And that pretty much marks the end of episode 1. Connor kind of crashed at about the 40-minute mark, so kind of had to end it there. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you next time.